On Value This with Dr. Laurie today, I'm kind of calling this men's collectibles, but maybe more accurately it should be what?
Well, it's about military pieces and pieces that relate to weaponry or war. So weaponry is relatively popular, as well as pieces that actually trace the history of our military campaigns.
Okay, all the information coming right up. We got a really exciting show. It's, you know, I think a lot of men would be interested in this because these are hats that many men would wear. Women are starting to, but men wore these.
Yeah. Military collectibles across the board, uniforms, hats, helmets, anything that has to do, of course, with the military is oftentimes quite collectible and of interest.
Okay.
And it talks to our history very obviously.
And are we still going in the same kind of collectible cycle so that something that happened 100 years ago is at its most valuable now?
Yes, because we have a World War I hat, for example. We've got this particular French World War I hat, a really nice one. This one has a couple of things that are going to be the telltale signs. So you're going to look for different materials at different time periods. You're going to also look for something that is a registration that indicates a particular country, right? The things you don't see with these liners, the actual liner.
So the fact that this has a liner makes it really rare.
Makes it rare and valuable because usually this is gone. It deteriorates because it's just made of leather.
Right.
Yeah, so usually deteriorates or they're found later on.
We're at the Bristol Antiques Market because somebody may be watching this and they want to know where to go for this.
Yeah, so these particular pieces are here, but you can find them in a lot of antiques places. This particular piece is worth somewhere in the neighborhood of about $400.
Okay.
And we typically see that.
Okay, and it says on their sign here, prices are negotiable. So do you generally find that in antique stores? That
yes.
You can, okay.
Yes, and you should negotiate. Always negotiate. I always say negotiate pretty strong, have cash, be polite, and remember that your particular pieces, what you really want, if you want to buy more, you might have a little bit more power in your negotiations as well.
Okay, so World War I stuff, and here's another one, and it doesn't have a liner in
because we're at about 100 years. This particular piece is not in as good shape. Well, if there's only one rare, unusual World War I helmet, as opposed to two of them sitting here at the same price, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically what you want to do is, this one I would say you could negotiate on even more.
Okay, all right. Now I'm holding one so that I can't put it down, and this is from the 1950s. It's $235. It even has the man's name who wore this from Wallingford, Pennsylvania on the inside.
Right, because this piece probably came from their particular family.
Yes.
So certain pieces want to be collected. Now, this one dates to this is a presentation piece, so this would have been when we're all dressed up, ready to go, right? And the other thing you want to think about are different parts of the military. Remember, there are different iconography that relate to different parts of the military. So you're going to see whether or not he's a naval captain, whether or not he's a Marine, or what have you.
Is one branch of the service more valuable than another?
No, not one branch more valuable than another. Of course, if you're talking to a Marine, he's going to say it's a Marine.
Absolutely.
Right? And then we've got the Vietnam pieces. This is relatively interesting and really easy for those of you who like the visual. Okay, so if you're looking at this piece, here's the camouflage that is typical of course, the 1960s. This particular piece is actually hand-drawn. And then they make the fabric from that hand drawing to try to have the camouflage be like the jungle. This is going to be somewhere around $150, a pretty good deal. But basically what you're looking at for a piece like that, many other people still have them.
Right.
Versus the World War I.
Okay.
So time period matters, as well as the fact that that conflict had a little bit more controversy around it than some of the others.
You got a big weapon behind you.
I have an edge weapon behind me. Now remember, in certain times, like my father was in World War II in the Pacific Theater, he would have had something like this. These are edge weapons or knives. This one, it says that actually this particular piece is African, but this particular piece is probably much more Indian. Sometimes you have to be careful about what is on the actual tag. Now everyone's trying to do their research, and sometimes people get it right and sometimes they get it wrong. This particular piece is a typical edge weapon where you literally would be, and the curve of this tells you that it's Middle Eastern or Indian, the South Asian continent.
What are they cutting with it curved like that?
Yeah, so you could be, well, it could be your neck. Or in terms of skies like these, you oftentimes can also see them going through jungles.
Okay,
we were talking about jungles too. Presentation, all decorative. This scabbard is probably African, but the knife inside, of course, is a piece that is from probably the Middle East.
Okay, knives are collectible.
Oh my gosh, knives are wildly collectible. Forging is very, very popular now. There's a whole revival of people who like to forge in fire. And you'll also see, of course, pieces like this one that are collectible to the tune of a couple $100s. I mean, this one's probably worth about $250, and maybe there's a price on it for $400.
Okay.
And you can find more information here on Value This with Dr. Lori and Carol Erickson. Or, of course, you can go to drloriv.com. If you have a photo of something, you say, I want to send Dr. Lori a picture and look at my military collectibles, you can do that at drloriv.com too.
You're just full service. I love that. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Value This with Dr. Lori.